Hey everyone, Summer here with Sen, and today I am doing something special. I'm going to introduce you to my goblin mama and her baby. This is Miss Hattie and her little baby Twitch. Isn't she amazing? And we're going to tell her story today using the tarot. So this is Twitch. And I know you guys saw him a little bit already. Isn't he adorable? I had a lot of fun making him. And this is Hattie. She is so precious. She's movable. And she's bigger than my other dolls. Like, her head is the size of my palm. So that's pretty big, actually. And you can kind of see more of her details in here. But I created her based off of, you know, what I see in my spiritual side in the realm. And they speak to me all the time. And she's got her tail. Look at her tail. She's more mossy than most of my other stuff. She even has moss that like kind of grows out of her hands and everything. But I just love her so much. She is so sweet. Oh gosh, look at her. She's so sweet. Anyways, we're going to tell her story today. So get ready for a fun adventure kind of thing. We'll see how this works out, and I will be using the Enchanted Forest Tarot to tell you guys her story. So that's coming up next. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know what you think in the comments. Hattie comes from a long line of Goblin Tenderfoot Fae are responsible for helping plants, animals, and forests grow and stay healthy. One day, while Hattie was helping a tree spirit move to another tree, she let her young one, Twitch, crawl around as she needed both hands to help the spirit move. Once the tree was fully taken over, Hattie rubbed her hands down the front of her dress and turned to Twitch. Twitch was gone. He must have wandered off, speaking to the forest. Hattie wasn't panicked, though. She cared for the forest, but Twitch could still get himself into trouble and possibly hurt, especially without her. Hattie knew most of the guardians in the forest, and the closest one was the Keeper of Air. He was not the friendliest keeper, but he had a pretty good hold on what was happening at any given time in the forest. "Good day, Keeper of Air. I am in need of your guidance. You know the forest and what is happening within well. Would you speak with me?" Hattie sat before the keeper, patiently waiting his response. "You are here about your offspring, Goblin. Why did you let him alone to wander the forest?" He sat calmly against a tree, holding a staff with a bird skull on it. "I was helping a spirit move to another tree." She was direct and to the point. The Keeper of Air was also a direct being, after all. He preferred direct answers. "The offspring is not the forest or my responsibility. You should keep a better eye, Goblin. But the little one did head toward the stream. Maybe the keeper there will have found him." Hattie gave her thanks, but her gut twisted. How had Twitch gotten so far in such a short amount of time? Hattie's bare feet moved gracefully along the forest floor. She'd been doing forest work for so long. She could move without harming living things along the ground. She made her way swiftly to the stream. As the stream came into view, a big salmon jumped and splashed, getting her attention. It was the Keeper of Water, also a shapeshifter. She waved to the salmon once, and then it changed swiftly into a wizard sitting by the stream. The first time she ever witnessed him change, she'd been a young one herself. "Hello, Seeker of the Water," she greeted. "Ah, Hattie the Goblin. You must be looking for little Twitch." "Yes, have you seen him?" "I sent him on his way down that path on the other side of the stream." He smiled. "Why not keep him with you?" Hattie asked, a little flustered and frustrated that no one has yet stopped Twitch from going further. "Everything happens for a reason, Hattie, and an adventure yet awaits. There is more to the wanderings of such a small young one. The forest has many strange ways about it." Hattie knew exactly what he was talking about. She'd heard stories of the forest, even from her grandfather, the wisps of the realm leading others away, but why would they choose Twitch? "I I wondered how he could be traveling so quickly for a young one. Thank you, Seeker. Hattie used the bridge across the stream. It wasn't big, just some stored up stones piled up and set to make a small way across. Once she was on the other side, she saw a path leading down to a pond, and for a brief moment she caught sight of Twitch's curled tail. "Twitch!" she called out, and rushed toward the pond. When she got there, Twitch was nowhere around, but a frog stared at her from a lily pad, and everyone knows all frogs in this forest can speak. So Hattie asked, "Have you seen my young one?" "Yes," he croaked. "Can you tell me where he went?" The frog jumped from the lily pad right into the water. Oh no! Hattie didn't bother removing her patch cloak or her clothes. She jumped right in and hoped Twitch would be okay. Water surrounded her, swirled and bubbled, blocked her vision. She tried as hard as she could to see within the water to where Twitch might be. She needed to save him, but the bubbles only increased. Her lungs called out for air, and Hattie pushed with her feet up to the top of the water surface. When she broke through, she found she was not in the same pond she dove into. She crawled from the pond, and there was a meadow with young ones, halflings, human and frog, casting spells at each other. Right in the middle was Twitch, clapping his hands happily. Relief flooded her, and she rushed over to her young one. He smiled as she picked him up into her arms and gave him a tight squeeze. "Watch out!" called a halfling. Hattie looked up in the direction of the voice, but didn't have time to duck before a sparkling spell hit her and Twitch. They fell to the ground and then through the ground. Hattie held on to Twitch, trying not to lose him again. It felt like they were falling for days and fast. Everything slowed, and then a tree came into view as Hattie fell slowly to a hard surface. It was a rowan tree, which was one of the rarest things to find within the realm, within this forest. She'd never cared for one personally, but her grandfather had many, many years past. Rowans were magical and protection, and most considered them a myth. They never stayed in the same place. So, even if you found one, the likelihood you'd find it again was next to nothing, unless you raised one like her grandfather had. Once a rowan reaches an adult age for a tree, it disappears. And she only knew this as a hand-down story from her relatives. Could this rowan be the one from her grandfather? Hattie walked carefully toward the beautiful tree. She could feel its magic in the air like a pull on her fate cord, and her soul responded, wanting to touch the tree. Even Twitch reached for it. Once she felt the bark beneath her palms, the tree disappeared and turned into a portal to the human realm. A woman sat on some kind of chair with a table in front of her and was forming balls of what looked like clay-like substance, but it wasn't the dirt kind of clay she was used to seeing. The woman seemed engrossed in her workings. Hattie looked at Twitch. He was enthralled with the human female. He reached out for her, and Hattie followed Twitch's lead. Once they were through the portal, they hovered in the air above the woman as her hands worked bits and pieces of clay into a face. Twitch began to disappear in Hattie's arms. What was happening? Hattie heard a howl of wind, and she turned to look out the human's windows. Snow was blowing everywhere. When Hattie looked back at the human, Twitch's face appeared in the clay she'd been working. A song began in Hattie's ears, but the human wasn't singing. It was coming from within her, as if her ancestors were speaking to her. Images of her grandfather talking with this human woman, of fairies and gnomes and dragons from the forest happily surrounding the female. This was what the Seeker of Water meant. She was fated to come to the human realm, and a new adventure will begin. Hattie came to the female just as the winter storms blew in,